This contribution on ergonomics and design for all in the built environment will in particular outline the European mandate for 20 and shared spaces. Design for all shares with ergonomics the multidisciplinary approach and the centrality of the user in changing the specificity of each individual. By placing human diversity and variability at the center of the analysis, attention is shifted from design to user categories to planning for the needs and expectation of users. Ergonomics is nowadays recognized as necessary to provide a pragmatic contribution with methods and tools to design for all, to get environment and products that can be used by as broad a range of the population as possible, including people with disability, different age, different culture. The European community has considered standard as strategic tools to improve the condition of accessibility for people with disabilities and with reference to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities and the European Strategy on Disability 2010-2020 issued a series of standardization mandates. These have produced some innovative standards on the subject of accessibility in the ICT sector and on the design for all approach. Phase 1 of this mandate, developed by 11 experts since 2008, comprised an inventory on existing standards and documents for accessibility to the built environment and made a proposal for a standardization work program to be further developed in phase 2. Since 2016, 6 experts have developed three drafts of this PREN 17-2010, now working on the revision of its 4th version according to all the comments received. The main objective of this mandate is to facilitate accessibility of the built environment following a design for all approach, especially for public procurers. It contains functional requirements for a range of elements of the built environment, including pavements and surfaces. This EN contains a set of functional accessibility requirements without measures to be used as criteria for awarding public contracts. The technical report 1 is in progress. It will support this EN and will describe the technical performance criteria with measures to be able to fulfill the above-mentioned functional requirements. The technical report 2 will contain reference documents needed to assess conformity. Main reference of the CN is the ISO 21542, now under revision. This CN has a very new approach with a rationale. Why should we do this? With functional requirements and recommendations with shall and should, and many figures. It contains 15 main clauses, plus 5 on specific environments, and a key point is in 5, diversity of user and design consideration. In clause 715, surface of the accessible route or footpath for outdoor, could be, you find interesting requirement for this conference, and shared space design approach in 7.5, which is a quite controversial issue. The problem is, are shared spaces safe enough for all users? A shared space is a street or place designed for pedestrians, cyclists, and drivers to share the space without the conventional separation between them, without the usual physical differentiation between roadway and pavement. When designed with a level surface across the full width, theoretically, this is without the main barriers for the mobility of users with impaired mobility, and therefore less possibilities for slips, trips, and falls. There have, however, been concerns raised across the disability sector. The removal of traditional features features used by blind people for guidance and wayfinding, such as payments with curbs, affect their ability to use the area independently. A shared space is said to rely on negotiation priority and movement between vehicles and pedestrians through eye contact. This puts blind and partially sighted people at an immediate disadvantage. Furthermore, the absence of conventional payment may also affect persons with learning difficulties and persons with hearing impairments focused on communicating through looking at people rather than negotiating with other road users. People with impaired mobility, while benefiting from a level surface, may not feel confident sharing a space with vehicles and cyclists without the perceived safety of a payment and crossing points. In the rationale, we state that it is important to consider carefully the possibility of accidental traffic incidents involving moving vehicles affording maximum protection of pedestrians from collision and injury. Clause 7.5 contains some functional requirements on shared spaces, such as, for example, a gateway should be provided to differentiate the space, for example, through a change of visual contrast and tactile walking surface indicators on both the pavement and road as they become a shared space. On pedestrian zone, DCN gives some recommendations, such as to provide visual contrast between a comfort zone and a shared space, provide tactile walking surface indicator within the comfort zone, etc. In surface of the accessible route or footpath, some more functional requirements are listed. Among other, we can say the surface shall be even to prevent user from tripping and falling. Be firm. Oh, sorry. I'm not able to come back. Okay. So that shoes and wheels don't sinking, have adequate slip-resistant properties to avoid slipping hazard. Materials shall have low reflective properties to avoid glare or obscure any sign and warnings. Adjacent surface material should not have different slip-resistant characteristics, particularly at the edge of changes of level of gradients. And overly decorative patterns in the paving surface that could disorientate shall be avoided. Okay. To conclude with, standards are very useful tools to support ergonomics and implementation of design for all approach in the built environment. After finalization of DCN and related TRs, new state-of-the-art documents for improved accessibility in the built environment will be available. Key issues still to be addressed are how a pedestrian zone can have effective delineation from the shared zone, which is recognizable enough for blind people, how drivers can be prevented from encroaching on the pedestrian zone, and what slip resistance data may be required to allow inclusive and safe access to all. This will need to be explored in the TR1 soon. As chair of the IEA TC on Design for All, I have to mention the next International Congress that will be held in Vancouver in June 2021. So check the website for further information. Thank you.